This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, if your house is anything like mine, there's always that one project that's just waiting on the to-do list. And so often, the only thing standing in the way is not having the right tool for the job. Having that specific cordless tool you need, it just makes all the difference. Well, if you've been waiting to add to your workshop, Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot, and this is the time to do it. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of the top brands, we're talking Ryobi, Milwaukee, you get a select tool from that same brand for free. It's not just a good deal, it's a smart one. You get the batteries you always need, and you walk away with the saw or driver you've been wanting. It's the perfect way to stock up for all those upcoming projects, or, let's be honest, it's a great gift for the people on your holiday list. Shop Black Friday savings now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction, exclusions apply. You can see the full list of eligible tools in-store and online. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
If your small business has a problem, you could say,
"Ugh, just my luck."
But you should say,
"Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there."
And we'll help get you back in business. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Say goodbye to those hand-me-down Christmas lights. The holidays have gone high-tech. From LAist and APM, American Public Media, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Everything you need to know about the latest high-tech decorations to make your house the envy of the block.
Most people may not realize that are still anti-LED Christmas lights. They look so natural, you don't even realize they're LED now. So you're getting the vast array of 17 million different color combinations.
Before The Sopranos, Steve Schirripa just wanted his own front door. Now he looks back at the house that made him a man.
As time goes on, I have to go back to New York to start filming The Sopranos. And the first thing I did was pay the house off because I was afraid they were going to kill me off on the show.
When your contractor blows past the quote, don't panic. We'll show you how to get things under control. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. It's finally time to put up the holiday decorations. But don't just grab that old ball of lights. Christmas decorations have gone high-tech. Jason Woodward from ChristmasDesigners.com is here to share what to buy and what will last. So, Jason, what are the light trends that you're seeing this year?
The trends that we're really seeing are where people are wanting to elevate their holiday lighting. They're wanting to achieve that pro-level lighting, but they may not necessarily want to go hire a pro.
Yeah, and I think there's so much more available now. You know, there used to just be one kind of Christmas light. Now there are so many. What are the kind of lights that you see people using the most?
Well, it's still going back to really traditional lighting, but it is LED. You know, we don't even really talk about incandescent anymore. We have not seen an incandescent cell in 8 years. You know, everybody's on LED. It looks just as good. So that argument's not there anymore. But because LED does offer so many more options, so many more lights, it can be overwhelming. But really, the traditional design of a C9 light set, C9 bulb, and then the mini light, that really is the foundation of almost anything that we see being done. So it's still the same basic, but it's the higher tech LED, and then also more options in colors and richness of designs.
And when you say C9, is that those bigger bulbs?
That is the bigger bulbs. So the C9s have been around for decades, and it is still really the cornerstone of most residential lighting. That perimeter lighting you see is either a C7, little smaller bulbs, or C9. And that is really the foundation of a lot of the homes. When you're driving around, you're always seeing that up on the roof lines or perhaps stake lighting around the flower beds and the driveways.
I know a lot of people want to be mindful of their budget. What are you sort of achieving if you're spending a little bit more on lighting versus a little bit less? Is there a difference in quality?
Nowadays with LED, there's a lot more technology in a light set, a lot more failure points, and a lot more options for low-quality diodes versus high-quality diodes, low-quality electronics versus high-quality electronics. So you are seeing a big difference in the quality levels, and that's where we encourage people to buy what the pros are buying. The life expectancy is very long, so that way, if you don't have the big budget, you can budget in over a 5, 6, 7-year period and keep growing your display by buying those high-quality lights.
And when you're talking about diodes and an LED, that's the part that gives it light. Is that correct?
That's the magic, whether it's a large C9 bulb with what's called an SMD chip or a standard LED in a mini light. That is where the illumination is. So it is much more technology now, but it looks incredible and a lot more flexibility and color options. What most people may not realize that are still anti-LED Christmas lights, almost every commercial job you see now is LED. But they look so natural, you don't even realize they're LED now. So you're getting really that richness of the incandescent look, but you also give the vast array of colors, almost any color you can imagine, especially as you combine in RGB, which turns into 17 million different color combinations by combining those three diodes together.
And if one bulb goes out, are we losing the whole string, or is that a thing of the past?
That is pretty much a thing of the past, depending on the failure point. With LEDs, there are other failure points. Our recommendation is to buy what we refer to as a one-piece light set. That's going to be the bulb and the socket are molded together. The replaceable bulbs, you don't need them with LEDs. Those LED bulbs are going to last 25 to 50,000 hours, far beyond what the light set's going to last. So you don't need to replace the bulb. By having those molded together, it's going to give you a much more rigid light set, and that bulb is going to hold up. One goes out, the current still will pass through to the next one.
We will miss our Griswold moment there.
Oh, yes. Such a classic.
So if people maybe don't want to get up to their roof line or get on their roof in general, is it a projector that sort of shines a pattern up that kind of gives you a big display without having to maybe do as much work?
Yes, exactly. About 10 years ago, we saw all the laser lights, and those were huge. Everybody used laser lights. It was a big business. It seemed like for about 2 or 3 years, you couldn't keep enough in stock. And those faded out, moved over to projectors, anywhere from just a little projector that might put Santa up on the house or a little bit of color. And now TikTok trend has been full projectors actually showing movies on the front of the garage doors. Projectors are a good way to be able to fill light in areas that otherwise may not be lit or that are hard to put lights up.
I think I have also seen a pretty big trend going into inflatables. Do you see that as well?
Right now, we have seen some new resurgence in inflatables, and starting to emerge is where there's a little more animation to the displays. You've got animated faces. The inflatables are a great way to fill in some of those yard areas at a low cost, and then off season, when Christmas is done, pack it up, put it in a corner. It doesn't take up much space.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things about whenever I see all of these huge displays, I always wonder where people store it.
Yes, exactly. It takes a lot of room for those displays.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I should have asked too if you have any tips for the inflatables, because I think that's something that I always worry. How do we keep those from blowing away?
Yes. Attach them to the ground with stakes. It's better to use a threaded stake that actually twists into the ground so it holds it nice and tight. Watch that weather. Storm coming in. Go ahead and deflate it. The nice thing, they can be deflated. They're still staked on the ground, so you don't have to bring it inside as long as you have it staked into the ground. So,
Jason, do you have a simple fix for elevating your decorations this year?
The simple fix I would say is use hot glue, especially if it's a brick house. It is a great way to be able to attach your lights, especially when you get into the C9 socket line that you want to go around maybe the entrance of a house or on the sides of the home coming down from the roof line or around windows. Hot glue is your magic secret fix.
Wow. And then that will just peel right off?
It will peel right off.
I mean, I'm taking that one to the bank. That's a great tip.
Yeah, it's a good one. And that actually comes from the pro industry and is now being used a lot in the DIY consumer market.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for being here today. This is incredible information.
Okay, well, thank you, Jen. I appreciate you having me on the show.
For video tutorials and holiday decor, visit Jason's website, christmasdesigners.com. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY calls. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Yeah, this is Russ Strelo from St. Paul, Minnesota, and I'm here with my wife, Lori. We have a roof leak problem, actually, that we want to ask about.
Wonderful. What's your question today?
We've had an intermittent roof leak, and I've a number of years, but I've isolated it to the intersection of a dormer wall, a stucco dormer wall, and asphalt roof. And I've using a garden hose, I've found that it leaks at the very bottom of this intersection of the wall, and dormer wall and roof. And it looks like it might be, the flashing might be dammed up at the bottom with like a tar or some kind of black material. And I'm wondering what I can do. Can I fill the whole valley in with tar, or do I try to remove it, or do I do something more extensive?
All right. Well, we've got Zach Detmore, general contractor for the show, here to help.
All right, let's jump into this.
Okay.
You know, I love a good flashing question because no one understands flashing. We all think we do and we don't. But I learned an interesting fact the other day, Jen, because I
can't wait to hear
I
it.
was expanding.
Really building up to it.
I was explaining to one of the cameramen on set what flashing was, and he said, "Why do they call it flashing?" And I didn't know, and it's because the metal is shiny when the builders would use it years ago, and it would sort of flash in the sunlight. Anyway, I digress. So, is
I'm gonna
the
fact check that?
right? Go look it up. It's probably made up. No one's listening to this, right? So you said the sidewall is stucco. Is it a traditional stucco on a relatively old house, or is it a new EFIS style stucco on a house built after 1980?
It was an addition done in the 60s.
This bit of tar, do you see step flashing coming down, which is sort of the flashing that's a short L piece?
Yep. Yeah.
And then it comes.
Zach, can you give us a flashing 101 here so we can get our bearings?
Sure. So we're talking about the intersection between the side of a dormer, which is sort of, a little structure that's built out over the roof. And then as the roof passes down on the side of it, there's something called step flashing. Just like your shingles, where you start on the bottom and you put one over the top and then another one over the top. Step flashing is the same concept, where you start at the bottom and then you put another one, and it's L-shaped. So basically, the water runs into one piece and into the next. But what I'm thinking the problem is, based on what you said with the hose, is it's that outside corner where you have flashing intersecting with the flashing on the bottom of the dormer, which is running sort of parallel with the edge of the roof, and the step flashing that is running perpendicular to it up the side. And is that where you're seeing the tar?
Yeah, where the dormer kind of ends. Once the slope reaches the end part of the dormer, so there would be hitting another vertical wall that's 90 degrees from the first vertical wall I mentioned.
Right. Sometimes what can happen is people don't flash that properly, because if we're starting at the bottom, so we're talking about the face of your dormer that probably has windows on it, right?
Right.
At the bottom of that wall, there should be a piece of flashing that sits under the stucco and over your first course of shingles, right? And then those shingles should tuck under it, ideally.
They don't.
Right, you don't. And it could be obscured by a shingle that's covering it up for decorative reasons, or it's just missing. If it's just missing, then that piece needs to be installed, and the step flashing actually needs to be on top of it, because that step flashing needs to overlap it to sort of keep that continuity of things that are going uphill sitting on top of it. So that particular intersection can be hard to detail. And because this addition was put on in the 60s, if you had a house that was shingled, the roofer may have peeled those shingles up and tucked it under. But because it was stucco, they were probably unable to do it. So they may have relied on tar or sealant. Over the years, it's become brittle.
It sounds like we need to find a good contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my tip. If you want to find someone who's going to be able to do this, look for someone with a good reputation who is prioritizing quality over profits. Because if they're not particularly focused on giving you the cheapest price, but their reputation is good, then they understand that they need to be a good steward of their reputation and give you a price that reflects the correct repair over a cheap price to just put some silicone there and walk away and call it a day and, get an easy paycheck. So I would meet with a couple people, explain the problem, say we think it needs to be reflashed. And I think it's a very easy thing, but it may mean they need to cut out a little bit of the stucco.
Okay.
I see.
Excellent advice. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks a lot.
All right. happy dry house after this, all right?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. It's This Old House Radio Hour. This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, if your house is anything like mine, there's always that one project that's just waiting on the to-do list. And so often, the only thing standing in the way is not having the right tool for the job. Having that specific cordless tool you need, it just makes all the difference. Well, if you've been waiting to add to your workshop, Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot, and this is the time to do it. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of the top brands, we're talking Ryobi, Milwaukee, you get a select tool from that same brand for free. It's not just a good deal, it's a smart one. You get the batteries you always need, and you walk away with the saw or driver you've been wanting. It's the perfect way to stock up for all those upcoming projects, or, let's be honest, it's a great gift for the people on your holiday list. Shop Black Friday savings now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction, exclusions apply. You can see the full list of eligible tools in-store and online. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.
It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Yeah, this is Munir from Marietta, Georgia.
Hey, Munir, what's your question today?
All right, so I got this paint issue. My walls, I peeled off some sound barriers on the wall that were stick onto the wall, and when I peel them off, a lot of the paint around it peeled off with it, and it sort of led to a tear with flaps. This happened with some recessed lights, too. When I pulled them out, a tearing occurred, and there's some tearing happening around some of my HVAC vents. I tried to paint over them, but when you look at them, you know, when the light hits it a certain way, you can tell there's a line there. Even I tried to cut the flaps with the razor and paint over them, but my wife says she can still see the line. I know it's a lot easier just not to stare at them, but she thinks I need to get a professional to help and figure out why this line is showing up around these painted areas.
Well, we've got professionals here for just that reason. We got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for This Old House, and Mauro Henrique, a painter for the show, both here to help.
Awesome.
Mauro, when you see these lines behind the paint, what you're really seeing, walk us through that.
Well, one of the most common things that happens when you see lines, if I understood the question right, is like most of the times, when I see lines or streaks, it's like you pressing the roller too strong against the surface and no spreading the paint correctly. So this is one.
I understand that one. I think the other problems I'm having is if the old layer of paint appears to be a separate sheet all by itself. So when we had the tears happening, it feels like I could literally just keep tearing off paint if I wanted using my hands. And so when I paint over it, I'm painting the underlayer and the line is appearing as that second layer of the old paint. So where the new paint meets the old paint, there's almost a separate layer. It's paper thin, but again, you can see it when the light is pointing at that area, if that makes more sense.
Zach, have you ever had that where you rip something off the wall and it leaves that indent, and even when you try to paint over it, you can still see the outline of the indent? Is there a way to sand that smooth so that it doesn't, so that that transition from the wall to where the paint sort of ripped off is a little less obvious?
I did this on my own house recently. I bought this stupid phone charger, and instead of
Tell us how you really feel.
I was gonna screw it to the wall, and then I said, "Oh, it's got like this a double adhesive tape." So while I was lining it up, I just sort of stuck it to my brand new, fresh drywall, just finished, 3 months prior wall in my pantry. And then when I swung the door open, I realized when the phone was plugged in, the door hit the phone. So I immediately removed it, and not only removed the paint, but also the paper face of the brand new drywall. And I think this is what Munir's got going on at his house. So if I were to paint that, I would have this like different texture, different plane situation. So I had to break out the joint compound and basically fill up, build it out,
feather in,
sand the area to blend it in, put primer on, have a couple beers, wait for that to dry, paint it, and now it's fixed. And, the heck with that charger.
And you're really bad at it.
I would have been better if I just didn't buy that stupid thing, and I still haven't put it back again. But yeah, this happens all the time. And unfortunately, you have to treat it like any imperfection in the wall. And that's what Mauro taught me years ago or weeks ago on this podcast was prep, paint. So 90% of the work is prepping the wall, and then the painting is really the easy part at the end.
Yeah, no, especially when, you find painting on top of drywall, there's no plaster, there's nothing. So really, really, if that's the case that happens there when you're, I would say very careful. Just do your patching before you do any painting. Let it dry and paint it over. Don't forget to put a coat of primer before too. That helps.
Got it. So it's the same thing I would use to fill a hole in the wall, a small hole.
Yeah.
Right.
I think, Mauro, there's a huge misconception amongst citizens. I'm going to lop Munir in with this. Sorry. But I think people really overestimate the power of paint.
They do.
They
all
do,
the time.
right? Like we assume, and I've done this myself many times, really if you want a flawless paint job, like a car or a piece of trim, it should really look flawless in primer stage, right? And then you're just adding color, but you're certainly not building up or smoothing with the paint. The paint is this thin layer that's doing absolutely nothing to hide anything. So,
yes.
You sound a little bitter.
The best way to learn this is to have a high quality finish, like something shiny. You know what I'm talking about, Mauro? Like a black lacquer, and show the customer, say, I'm done. And they say, this looks terrible. And then do it again and lose some money, bring it back to them. And they say, this is terrible. And do it again. And you just keep losing money until you understand how to do it.
Yeah, I also assumed the paint would get me there, but it sounds like this was my fault. Is there some other excuse I could have given my wife about what happened to that whole weekend I spent painting?
Yeah. Did you buy the paint in the gallon?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can't do that. Never works if it comes in the gallon.
Oh, you can tell.
Only after the sample size wasn't enough to cover all the places this was happening.
Hey, Munir, also you can tell her, you know what, honey? I'm going to hire a painter, a professional painter.
I've been trying to avoid that one.
Yeah, painter can solve a lot of problems.
Much. I mean, that's huge. Now I know I can use that all those processes, and hopefully next weekend won't be a wasted one.
There you go. Good luck, Munir.
We wish you luck.
Thank y'all so much.
Good luck, Munir.
Take care. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Karen Dragovich calling from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
I have not heard of that town before. That is an interesting name for a town, Karen.
It is. It's true, though. Truly,
right in
truth
the
or
name.
consequence.
So, Karen, what's your question today?
Well, okay. I live in a home. It's an upstairs, downstairs. The question in mind is about my deck upstairs. It's about a 300 square foot. It's got about 1 foot by 1 foot tiles. In the 10 years it's been up there, it's actually over cement. So we tiled that, and the corner tile started lifting up. You know, we have a lot of hot sun here and monsoon rains, and so it took 10 years for that to lift up. And when it did, it kind of had a look like it had been an adhesive, like a silicone seal. It was hard to tell. So my question is, somebody mentioned something about putting epoxy in with the grout. And if I do that, what's the benefit?
Okay. We've got Zach Detmore, a general contractor for the show, here to help. Zach, do you understand? I think I'm clear on what she's explaining here.
I need some clarifications, but first, I'm curious if Karen can share with us the history of why this town is called Truth or Consequences.
Yeah, let's start there. I'm still stuck on that.
It's not just me who's curious.
We can't gloss over this.
We can't just walk away from this. There's, I don't know, at least 7 people listening right now, and they're curious.
Well, I couldn't walk away either once I came for my first time. It's a quaint little bathhouse town. Geronimo actually used to run around here. This is his old stomping grounds. But how it actually got its name was when Hollywood came to visit. Ralph Edwards said, "We'll give you $1 million if you'll take our name, Truth or Consequences, the game show." And so they said, okay. And he comes back every year. We call it Fiesta on the first week of May. He used to come, and it was just a big carnival and all that. And that's pretty much what I know of how what everybody says around here about how the town got its name.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Interesting story.
I am enriched for that information.
All right, now we can talk about the tiles.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so is there a living space below this elevated patio?
Yes, and I forgot to mention that it's been leaking down into my master bedroom down the wall. Yes, and into the window frame and then down into the floor.
Oh, are you sitting down for this answer?
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Okay. Pour yourself some tea or something. So
stiff drink.
My understanding of Truth or Consequences is that it freezes there.
Yes.
And what happens is you get water expanding. As it does, we've all seen ice trays and such. So when water expands, when you have concrete, it's going to get into all of the cracks in your concrete, and it's going to expand when it's frozen, and that's going to create bigger cracks. So then when you put this tile over the top of it, it sounds like you put the tile directly to the concrete. Is that true?
No, actually on some of the areas, there was this like material, like a red fiberglass flexi material stuff in between the concrete and the thin set at the bottom of the tiles.
So like a woven fabric, sort of.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what they were trying to do was waterproof this concrete slab, I'm guessing, with whatever that was. They could have also been trying to isolate those cracks we talked about. But the bottom line is the water will get under those tiles, and when it does and it freezes, it expands and it pops the tiles up, which is what you had. And it's the same thing that caused the concrete to fail. So my assumption is you can go Band-Aid on it and fix things. I wouldn't worry about mixing any epoxy or anything into your thin set and sort of patch and make it work. But my assumption is to solve the water intrusion into your primary suite below. You need to waterproof this properly. And to waterproof this properly, you need to get down to that concrete, which would involve removing all of that tile and sealing up this whole thing properly. And unfortunately, I can't see it to be sure that I'm right, but I will tell you, most likely you're having a failure that's somewhere between the wall and where the slab starts, because that's sort of the weak point where you have intersections. And I'm guessing that's where most of your water is.
Yes,
So I would look
you're
there.
absolutely right. The first time it started leaking was exactly along that wall where it met. Now, however, it's moved closer to the window, about 5-6 feet over closer.
My hunch, consult with a professional before you listen to me who can see it, is this has all got to come up to be rectified properly. Womp womp.
I just was dreading that. And that's probably not, oh God, owning homes is a real treat, isn't it?
Yeah. So in this case, that's both the truth and the consequence is you need to rip it all up.
I love it. My consequences if I don't, and that's the truth.
Karen, thank you so much. We appreciate the call.
All right. Thanks for the advice.
All right.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take
Sorry
care.
about that.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Call us now to have your home improvement or DIY question answered. 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Nancy from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Nancy. What's your question today?
Well, I have a question about a chimney liner that I had installed. I got a new furnace several years ago and switched from oil to gas, and had a bunch of problems in between with, sort of like the parging falling off the chimney and a couple other things. And so I ended up having the chimney lined at the suggestion of a person who helps with my furnace. And now there's this tall metal thing coming out of my house, and I wonder, is that a lightning rod? Do I need to ground that? So
that's a fair question.
So that's my basic question. Yeah.
So to help answer your question, I have Zach Detmore, general contractor for This Old House, and Heath Eastman, an electrician for the show, both on the line. Heath, what do you think? Have you seen this before?
Hey, Nancy. So we've seen liner replacements, obviously, before for boilers, especially when you're doing the gas. I had to do the same thing in my own house where it started to cave in, and we had to pull a stainless liner down through and connect it. But I don't have much sticking out of the top of the chimney. So you saying you actually have a metal cap that sticks up quite a bit?
It sticks up maybe like 6 inches.
Oh, okay. So it's not too bad.
Yeah. No.
I've never...
But it's metal.
It is metal. Yeah, it is metal. I've never heard of anyone actually doing any additional grounding for this. Normally, you wouldn't want to. If you're more concerned about lightning, is that kind of what you're thinking?
Well, yeah. My science education is lacking. So, yeah.
No, fair. If you were looking for something for lightning, we wouldn't usually tie that back in with the electrical system. Normally, you'd run separate conductors down to their own ground rod system for lightning protection. So it's an entirely different system. You normally don't want to introduce that back into the electrical if you can avoid it. Zach, what have you seen on some of the houses that you've worked on? You must have run across some lightning rods and a few things.
I have. Yeah, I've never had this exact experience. So honestly,
it's the TV antenna that used to stick up 20 feet.
Yeah, I've ripped a lot of those systems down because the house was turning over. They're like, get that awful thing off the roof of my house. But yeah, I've never dealt with it. I'm curious, Heath, like how conductive is stainless steel as a metal?
That's a great question. We don't use it a lot. I'd assume it is. I mean, it's not pure stainless, I guess, isn't magnetic or very magnetic, but I mean, I would assume it's still conductive. But the chimney liner, if it's connected all the way down, it'd be bonded. If it's connected properly, I'd assume it'd be kind of bonded to the boiler itself, but only by screws, I suppose. So it's not much.
It is, and to the water heater.
Yeah. I've never seen it done. I can see the argument if you did something like a wood stove and you had the metal chimney that went outside of the house and then went up really, really tall. I've seen people do something with a separate lightning system on those because they're worried about that attracting. But I haven't seen anyone bond a chimney liner. I can't say that I'd be too worried about that.
In certain applications, we'll use stainless steel rebar, because of its low conductive nature, it doesn't act as much of a thermal bridge when you have sort of concrete outside and concrete inside. So maybe that means it's relatively low conductive when compared to copper or aluminum.
Yeah, so I'm so used to dealing with copper and aluminum, I never really thought about how conductive. I just, we obviously avoid all metals when we're dealing with any of that. Right. Yeah, I've just never seen anyone do that and never had a request for it. I don't think I'd worry about it too much.
Isn't that a saying like lightning never strikes a chimney liner twice? Isn't that a saying?
I'm worried about
one. Here to fact check, that's not a thing.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard that one, Zach.
Don't search that on the internet.
Nancy, it sounds like you're going to be all right with just leaving it as is.
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nancy.
All right. We appreciate the call.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Coming up, are you worried about your contractor going over budget?
We finished the job. Everything was great. We got the invoice a couple weeks later, and it was higher than his estimate by a good, 10% over.
Tips for keeping it under control next on This Old House Radio Hour. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Coming up, how to keep your contractor honest and on budget. But first, we go to Las Vegas, Nevada. If you know Steve Schirripa from The Sopranos, you know family comes first. He takes us back to the place that taught him what that really means, his first house.
My name is Steve Schirripa. You know me as Bobby Bacala from The Sopranos, and this is my old house. I grew up in Brooklyn, 7 of us in a tiny apartment. Always dreamed of owning my own house. I moved to Las Vegas. I'm broke, got roommates, finally stopped making some money in Vegas. I buy my first house. It's $66,000. It's 1,000 square foot house. This is 1986, 87. 2 bedroom, 2 bed, nice little house, perfect. Once I did that, I think I became an adult. Now I was responsible. Got to pay the power, got to pay the gas, got to pay the landscape, I got to take care of things. I think I grew up. Now I start making big money. I'm a maitre d' at the Riviera. I worked 6 nights a week for 9 years. I'm making $250, $300, $400 a night, cash. I had 120 grand. But you got them in 5s and 10s, 20s. In the garage, I had a safe built in the garage and a workbench built on top of that. Like a cabinet, you open the cabinet and there was a false bottom, you pick it up. I say, you know what, I want to buy a bigger house. I find a piece of land for 25 grand, it's an acre, 15 minutes to say Caesar's Palace. About a year later, get the plans, get a loan. We build our dream house from scratch. My wife is pregnant with my daughter. It's 1991. It was a Southwest home, Mexican tile on the floor. We finished the house. It's 3,200 square feet, 1 level on an acre of land. We raise our family there. I have 2 daughters. Our master bedroom was 1,000 square feet. We had a sauna. We had a fireplace in the bedroom. So that was our vision, this huge bedroom. We had the kids' bedroom on the other side. There was a Jack and Jill bedroom with 2 daughters. And then I had an office. We had a dog room with half doors, beautiful kitchen nook with a table and chairs, an island in the middle. We eventually built a pool. We landscaped the entire backyard. That was my dream. It looked like a park. You could have a Little League game back there. We had a walking track. We had a half-court basketball court. Beautiful house. 3-car garage. We add on another 600 square feet. So now you got this 3,800 square foot, 1 level, beautiful house. Got a bar. We have parties after parties. This is in the 90s Las Vegas. You make 3, 4, 5 calls, suddenly there's 40 people at your house on a Tuesday night. My prized possession, picture of me and Sinatra. 1987, Jilly Rizzo's 70th birthday party. Jilly was a friend of mine. He was Sinatra's right-hand man. There's about 25 people. Don Rickles is there. It looks like a lineup from the Ed Sullivan Show. Bunch of comics. Sinatra comes in. He's wearing a members-only jacket, black, with red lettering saying Frank. I got to try to get a picture. So my wife had a disposable camera. At the end, I go over and I say, would it be possible to get a picture? So we take a picture. My wife takes it, and she says, hold on a second, Frank. I want to get one. And he went, come here, sweetheart. And he put his arm around her. He got the greatest picture. That is the one picture I had to have. Wherever I go, that picture goes. I've been dabbling in the acting as a hobby. 2 lines here, 2 lines there. It was just fun to me. As time goes on, I have to go back to New York to start filming The Sopranos. And the first thing I did was pay the house off because I was afraid they were going to kill me off on the show. You can't quit, but they can get rid of you at any time. Show business, baby. I had bought an apartment in New York. Kids were going to school in New York. Keep the house for a while. It's amazing. You think you seal up your house. Nobody's there. It'll be just fine. Everything goes wrong. The pool went bad. The well dried up. We had to dig another well. In the meantime, no one's living there. Someone tries to break in. Got worried, put the house up for sale, sold it to these nice people. They had it for about 4 years, then they sold it to a company that Airbnb'd it. They turned every room. There was a bed in every room. In my walk-in closet, they put a queen-size bed. In the gym, they had 2 queen-size beds. I had a bar. There was a bed in there. My wife was so upset she couldn't even look at it. This house that me and my wife built from scratch, and we raised our kids there, had wonderful memories. It's in foreclosure, and it just broke our heart. I actually have a friend of mine looking into it to try to buy it back, to see if I can get it out of foreclosure. If nothing else, to fix it back to what it was. We put our heart and soul into the house. I know you're not supposed to get attached. I guess maybe raising the kids there and just seeing it literally from the ground up built, and then spending so many good times. I had my parents who are no longer with us there. We did get attached to this house. I think that's what it is. I raised the kids there and had probably the best 20 years of my life there. I grew up in a home that was screaming and yelling and chaos. I don't want any of that. I enjoy staying in. I love when we're all together. That's what I like. We're grilling, eating, laughing. We're comfortable. That's what a home is to me. We're just together.
That was Steve Schirripa. You can see him on tour on Comedy and Conversations with the Sopranos. Tickets are on sale at TalkingSopranos.com. There are few things more stressful than hiring someone to work on your home. You're trusting strangers to tear apart and rebuild the place you love. And at the center of it all, your contractor. This week, we're talking budget. What to do when your contractor starts going over the quote. And we've got This Old House's Zach Detmore here to help you get things under control. Richard from Sudbury, Massachusetts, shares his dilemma.
My wife and I recently had our front porch and stairs redone with one company. Came out great, but he was having an issue getting the old railing reattached, so he suggested a colleague to come that specialized in that. So we hired someone else to reattach the railings. Everything seemed fine. He gave us a quote at the start with a range, which seemed reasonable. He finished the job. Everything was great. We got the invoice a couple weeks later, and it was higher than his estimate by a good, 10% over. The railing looked fine, but we do find that, I would say, 9 times out of 10, when we get a quote, it's always at the high end of an estimate from a company or ends up being a little bit over. And I'm just not sure why that is, but that seems to be her experience with it.
Zach, so there's a lot happening in this call, but I think the main heart of this question is what's happening on the contractor side? When a contractor is giving you a quote, he's giving you a range, he's saying, I think it will be between these two numbers. And then to this guy's experience, it's over that quote. How often does that happen? And what does communication usually look like when you know you're going to be running on the higher end, if not over?
It sounds like in this instance, they received not a fixed bid and not a time and material or cost plus bid, but they got some sort of range of, it'll be between this and that. And I'm guessing that was probably a time and material type situation, because it would be tough to have a fixed price contract tied to a vague amount of money.
What's the difference just between the two?
A fixed price contract would be, I am putting a deck on and it is $10,000 and this is the materials I'm using and this is the scope of work. A cost plus would be, I am estimating that your deck will cost $10,000 and I will bill you hourly for my time and I will bill you for the other people involved and I will bill you for the decking and the framing I buy. And I will add a plus, which covers my profit and overhead, typically between 15 and 35% of the total job cost. The reason people like that is the contractor gets paid, but managing expectations in a cost plus or a time material becomes a problem, which I think is what this person's referring to. But in a fixed cost bid, you also go over. And typically before you go over, there has to be a reason you're going over. This is taking longer than expected. These materials changed. There's some change. And for that, you need to track it with a change order. So you have to have the homeowner to sign off on it.
I guess as a homeowner, that's tricky for me because I think that a lot of times, in any job, unexpected things come up as soon as you open the unseen. So you find things you didn't expect. But in something like a railing, in this guy's situation, it seems fairly straightforward. So I have questions.
Right. It's not a curved railing.
No, it just is what it is, sort of. So that's where in this particular situation, I would question it. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right.
Does he have any recourse? Is there anything that he can do to say, hey, this is the range you gave me and you never came back and said it might be more? Or is it just, it is what it is?
My assumption is that that agreement is open-ended enough that there's not a clear scope of work defined. But if there is a clear scope of work defined, then that homeowner can say, no, I'm not going to pay that because as far as I can tell, there was no change that I had an effect on. But if this is a time and material or a cost plus agreement that was signed, then they just have to pay for it. And they agreed to pay for it. In that range was their best estimate at the time.
What's your advice for homeowners as they're hiring out a job like this? You're hiring someone to come fix your railing on your porch. What kind of an estimate is most protective for the homeowner that they can better expect the action, better understand the pricing and be better protected in this situation, that they can sign an agreement? Like, is there something they can sign? Is there something they can communicate to the contractor that would help in this situation so that they're made aware if it's going to be higher and that they can maybe go a little deeper before the project starts to really hone in on a price point?
I think as a homeowner, you can say, I'm going to need a clearly defined scope of work. If not, I'll make one. And I want to know how changes are handled because I want to compensate you for your time. But I do not want to compensate you for something I'm not aware of,
right,
that you just sort of made the call on, right?
Yeah, if you come to me and say, hey, we found rot in this post and I have to replace it in order for your railing to be properly installed, that's a conversation. Maybe it's a change order, but I need to sort of handle how that will be discussed ahead of time. So for listeners who are about to hire someone for a quick project, what is your punch list for them?
First thing, define a scope of work. Make sure you understand what is included and what is not included. And if it's a long list of things that are not included, make a list of exclusions. So, it may not be that defined, but just have a conversation.
Yep.
Just to be clear, you're taking the trash away. Just to be clear, this is going to be painted or not painted, right? The other thing is understanding, read the contract, make sure you understand. There should be a contract. In most cases, it is required by law that there is a contract. You can't just have a sort of a handshake deal. So read that contract, understand if this is a time and material, a cost plus, or a fixed price contract, and then have a clear conversation about managing change orders. No problem with change orders. I want to understand the process. I want to sign off on it. I want a clear understanding of what changed. I want to pay you. That's not a problem. But it's fair for me to know why, right? What changed? And I think that's sort of the major things to look out for.
I think that's really helpful for our listeners and for any of us who are about to hire a professional, just to have that framework in the back of our mind. It's great advice. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Have a contractor-related issue? Call our hotline and leave us a message. We could answer it on the next Contractor Confidential. And if you're hiring a plumber, Richard Trethui has expert advice to help you make the right choice.
Hi, Jen. Richard Trethui, your very favorite cast member, right? I am, right? Okay. And the plumbing heating guy for this house for a long time. So finding a contract is always the big question. How do we find? It's like, but I would trust the Coconut Telegraph. I would talk to my neighbors. I would go and ask at the building department. Good people have good reputations and they're word of mouth. Be careful, though. Some people don't want to share the good names of the contract because they don't want to lose them. The internet actually is a great equalizer in many cases because there's ways for consumers to rate the contractors. Sometimes it's not fair and sometimes it's impartial or partial. You got to be careful. I've always trusted word of mouth more, but social media and the power of Google searches, if somebody's done a bad job, you're going to find out about it, and you've got to be careful you're not just listening to some really frustrated bad customer. So don't trust them implicitly, but it's a tool that we never had, but it's a viable tool nowadays. Plumbing supply places know who the good guys are that pay their bills. Look for the companies that actually are still willing to advertise because you know that they're at least filing the right permits and getting the right insurance. Be careful of expecting a lot for a little. If somebody is half the money as somebody else, there's a reason. And you got to just be skeptical. There's a reason that the best restaurants have the best food. And so just don't believe in the tooth fairy when it comes to getting a contractor.
And now it's time for one last thing, my favorite tool.
Hey Jen, it's Jen Nawada, landscape contractor on This Old House. And I just wanted to talk about one of my favorite tools today. It's called a hori-hori knife. So this hori-hori knife really looks like a dagger. The blade is 6 inches long. It has a little concave bit in the middle, and it's really, really strong. And the handle fits just ergonomically perfect in your hand. Let's start with the middle belly of it. There's a measuring stick of up to 6 inches. So when you're planting bulbs, this is very handy. Okay, you don't want to bury something too deep when it needs to be a certain length. One of the sides is a serrated edge, and I use that to cut and sever roots, whether I'm ripping something out of the ground or if I'm taking a pot. If a plant is pot bound, growing in a circular fashion, after you pull the pot off, you could just score it, scrape it, and move it down. And then finally, the other side is just a nice sharp edge if you just need to slice something. I just used this yesterday, just popping weeds out of a crevice that were going deep, deep in between a sidewalk and a driveway. It's just a really, really strong utility knife. It's a hori-hori knife.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.